everyone. Thank you for joining today. My name is Heather Harris. I'm Alteryx's Field Chief Data and Analytics Officer. And in my role, I have the privilege of working with leaders around the world on their journey into AI to accelerate AI adoption in their organizations. And today we're going to talk about some of the trends that I'm seeing, like what are those best practices for actually using AI? And not just your small technical data science team, but AI used across your organization to transform your analytic or data business processes. So let's talk about Alteryx across industries. Alteryx is around the world in more than 8,300 customers, really in every industry. You can see here, we are in the world's largest banks, the world's largest airlines, the world's largest automotive makers. Do you see a trend here? We've been doing this for a while, bringing the knowledge worker on the journey of analytic maturity, and that includes into using and adopting AI. And today we're going to talk about how you can accelerate your journey. A little bit more about us. Besides being in 8,300 organizations around the world, we are in more than half of the global top 2,000 organizations. Our community is over 700,000 folks strong. That's our online community where people go to collaborate, share, ask questions, get on-demand training. We have a very robust community to help you on your journey of analytic maturity. So when I meet with leaders in organizations nearly every day, they don't actually come to me and say, Heather, we want to increase our analytic maturity. What they often say is, Heather, we know we have a lot of data and we want to get more out of our data. And so they really are talking about becoming more analytically mature. And of course, like many of you today, what they're actually saying is we want to get more out of AI. And so when we think about that analytic maturity journey, I like to go back to this survey by the International Institute of Analytics. The IIA went out and surveyed more than 1,000 organizations. They gave them a questionnaire. And the questionnaire was designed to understand where they are on their journey. And the scale is a scale of 1 to 5. So if I'm a 1 in analytic maturity, what that means is I'm not data-driven at all. And between us, what that typically means is you're not going to survive very long if you do not start using your data more and becoming more data-driven. It's really a necessity now in terms of working in this world. So an organization is a stage 2 when they're doing analytics and pretty well, but it's localized, it's siloed, it's department by department. And when I meet with leaders regularly, this resonates with them. They feel like that's where they are. And in fact, when the IIA did their survey of more than 1,000 organizations, you can see that the average score was 2.2. When I get to a stage 3, I recognize that if I bring data together from different parts of my organization, I can actually get more insights. For example, if I bring my operations data together with my marketing data, I can get a better perspective of what's going on for my customer and market to them more effectively and actually serve their needs operationally more effectively. This is also where AI is really starting to take front stage, is being able to bring together our data and get more insights out of it rapidly. That's what AI is really good at. And we're going to talk about that. When I get to a stage 4, I'm doing that. I'm bringing my data together. I'm getting insights. And then a stage 5 is what I call an analytical nirvana. And many of you can take guesses about the organizations in the world that know us very, very well. They know our data well, they know our habits well, they know our online behavior, they know our spending habits, right? We know a lot of those organizations. And in fact, Even the most advanced AI companies that we would consider these analytical nirvana are also struggling in their back offices. So it's an amazing time to bring AI into the organization. The one thing that we see working with thousands of organizations around the world is the percentage of knowledge workers that are analytically capable. And what we mean by that is a knowledge worker that can use a technology beyond Excel to get insights. And this is where AI is really coming into the picture, and what we're going to talk about today is how can I actually use AI more effectively, or actually use it at all? Because that's where a lot of organizations are at that I work with. They're figuring out, how do we actually adopt AI in a way that makes sense for our knowledge worker? And when we look at moving up this analytical maturity curve, you can see on the bottom there what correlates to that movement is the percentage of my knowledge workers that can use these modern technologies. So we're going to talk about how you can do that today. Now, we're not just using technology for technology's sake. Now, I work for a technology company. I believe in what we're doing. I've seen the evidence of organizations doing amazing things with technologies. And the reason they want to do that is usually because it drives financial outcomes. And you can see from this IIA survey that let's pick out 10-year revenue. So if I stay at a stage 2 versus get to a stage 4, look at the revenue difference. It's 6x. So there are real financial implications, real business outcomes for becoming more analytically mature and for equipping my knowledge workers to tap into this world of AI. And so when you're assessing your analytics maturity, these are the kinds of things I wanted to share with you. So you know, like, how do I actually get to that number? Maybe I'm interested in doing one. And by the way, Alteryx can help you with that. We provide a survey very much like the IIAs. It's based on the IIAs to our customers for free to help you figure out where you are, to understand where you are on the maturity scale, to create a benchmark for you relative to your peers, and then to learn how to grow. And so as I work and partner alongside CFOs, CIOs, even COOs in an organization, and we do this exercise together, we put together a plan to work with their knowledge workers to help them improve how they're getting access to their data, while they also improve maybe the state of their data or their organization's approach to analytics. What are my leaders doing? Leaders are critical in this journey, by the way. It's not just your knowledge workers that are hands on keyboards every day. How my analytical teams are organized, what kind of techniques I'm using. We're going to talk about all of this in this presentation to help you understand what are some of the things that I can do as either a leader, or maybe I'm a knowledge worker, an individual contributor, that I can do to actually move the needle for my organization. And spoiler alert, it's good for your career too. We're going to talk about and dive into that. Because here's what we actually see in most organizations today. Most organizations have really good data analytic talent, data scientists. And they, of course, have all their knowledge workers who are out in the business doing the day-to-day work with data. And historically, what's happened is the knowledge worker side of the house will tap into their experts, these great people who we need in our organizations and will continue to need in our organizations. The challenge is that most knowledge workers today, to come to any decision, to come to any opinion, when they come to a meeting, they're expected to have data behind whatever it is they want to present or share or plan. And they've historically gone to this blue side of the house to get help, but now it's just too much for just a small team or a small set of your analytic talent to handle. And so Harvard Business Review found that no one's really happy with this. The organizations that have this model that they've surveyed aren't happy because the blue side aren't working on the toughest problems your organization has, and that's where you want them to be working. They're addressing tactical, day-to-day, ad hoc analysis for this green side. And the green side's not particularly happy too, because the blue side is so backlogged that they can't actually get to the questions in a timely manner. So the reality of the world today is recognizing that you do have a variety of personas in your organization, like you can see on the right side of the slide. And every persona, from your deeply technical IT person to your everyday business user, even business leader, needs to be able to tap into data directly. And that's where the Alteryx One platform for enterprise data and analytics and AI comes into play. And I want to talk about what capabilities we're talking about. When you look at the left-hand side there, sure, we're talking about prep and blend of data, blending multiple spreadsheets, which historically has happened cut and paste across Excel spreadsheets. And now with Gen AI under the hood, we can do this in a low code, no code way, either building processes ourselves. That's what Alteryx has been doing for decades. But even using generative AI under the hood to automate even doing that kind of work, and automating the quality of that kind of work, and automating the checks of that data prep and blend. But then moving beyond that into deeper analytics, into AI assistance to accelerate getting to insights, getting to visualizations, reducing dashboard sprawl, and then being flexible across my data ecosystem. I might need to tap into 2 or 3 or more clouds, or 2 or 3 or 12 ERPs. It's a jungle out there in the data world. And so I need to be able to efficiently and effectively tap into that data, because guess what? In order to use AI, I have to tap into my data. And again, a centralized team cannot do all that work for me. And so that's where the knowledge worker is now becoming the accelerator for getting AI ready data together. It's to unlock those business cases across the whole organization. It's to be able to consume those insights anywhere you need them, whether you already have a visualization tool or that you want to use our Gen AI accelerated visualizations that automatically create visualizations for you from your data, and being able to connect across all your platforms, and automating these processes and automating getting to more advanced AI. And we're actually going to drill into this AI word because we use it broadly and it actually teases out to a few different manifestations. So let's talk about that. And we're going to talk about it practically, and we're going to talk about it in terms of capabilities. So there's 3 key ways that we see AI showing up in the analytic world today. One is embedded AI. This is what generative AI under the hood of a platform opens up for you. It means I, as a non-data scientist, can actually do automated machine learning or AI modeling. I can create my own models without being a data scientist, without actually having to build a model. Even in a code-free way, I can build a model today, but maybe I want some assistance in that journey to build that, to make sure it's statistically correct. Feature engineering. Feature engineering, for those of you who don't know, it's taking the data I have and figuring out, when I want to do predictive, are there ways I can break up and create features in my data to help me predict more? And so there's actually the automated ability to help you think about what those features might actually be. Magic documents, magic reports. I've done all this great analytic work and I want to create a report, using generative AI under the hood to create that PowerPoint for me, to create that PDF for me. This is real today. This is generative AI coming to life to help us in the analytic world. Playbooks. Maybe I'm brand new at my job. I'm a financial analyst for a widget company in manufacturing, and I just came out of college and I want some ideas. Well, I can use generative AI to type a prompt and say, this is my job today, and give me some ideas, and it will come back and give you use cases and even sample reports and sample data. That's generative AI and how it accelerates getting to insights. And these are the things the Alteryx One platform provides in terms of capabilities, being able to profile my data effectively, looking at quality effectively in an automated way. These are the power of embedded AI into a platform, and even co-piloting. So co-piloting, like I talked about, where I talk about what I want to accomplish and have the technology go build that analytic process for me, or I know I need to clean data a certain way, and having it pick up on the pattern for me and automatically doing it for the rest of my data. This is the idea of embedded AI. This is where the real power is coming through with generative AI. Okay, let's pivot though. So we all also know generative AI is the large language models that are out there that we have access to today. And many of us have played with these technologies, right? We're out there typing in things like, show me the best places to go on vacation in August in Europe. And, maybe the characteristics of our family, things like that. We can type an email for me, do some research on an organization or on a topic for me. This is where we're all day to day using this as our daily assistant, if you will. So there's actually more power there than we're tapping into. How about if I could scale that? How about if I could use my large language model, bring my own model, and say, hey, Alteryx, can you build a process for me to write 1,000 emails? Here, I'm going to give you my customer database. I'm going to give you some characteristics. And can you automate the generation and emailing all of my 1,000 customers? This is the power of doing things with the large language models we already have access to and scaling that and doing more. So that's the second way that we can tap into AI, is leveraging our LLMs, automating, scaling them. Okay, now there's also classic AI. And what I mean by classic AI are those vanilla machine learning predictive models that have been around for a while, but I want to still tap into. I want to predict which of my customers might churn. I want to predict who I should market to for a certain deal. I want to predict what might happen in the supply chain under a certain scenario. I want to predict the profitability for different scenarios in my organization. So this is what we call classic AI. And this is all still very much available to us and has been available to us. And we want to continue to take advantage of it. And it can come out in ways of like natural language processing. And what I mean by that is, give me some text and tell me what topics are there, or tell me the sentiment of the text I just gave you, or computer vision, which is simply oftentimes read a PDF and put it in a format that I can use. So one of the first things that happens when I work with leaders is educating them to even the variety of AI and these three key areas that they can take advantage of AI. Because a lot of times a leader shows up and says, Heather, my board says I need AI. Get me AI. Can you get me AI? Like, I can get you AI, but let's talk about what business problems you're trying to solve. And let's talk about what capabilities are best for that. Let's bring this to life with an example. I'm all about illustrating things as a way to like make this real. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Alteryx, this is what a workflow looks like. You can see it's drag and drop tools that I drag onto a campus to build a flow of my work, and particularly a flow of the data in my work. And so let's look at how AI is doing a lot of different capabilities in this one. This is actually a pretty simple workflow. So the first thing is I've got maybe some kind of cloud data warehouse or multiple data warehouses of my customer data. And so in this example, let's say it's Alteryx's customers. And so we have telemetry data and how people are using our platform. That's one of our inputs here on the left. We have our support help desk tickets, so we know that about our customers. We might have some opportunity level data, what's going on in the account that we feel like could help we could help them with our platform, and maybe Marketo, our marketing data, our marketing profile for that customer, or how we've marketed to them in the past. So you can see on the left, I've got 5 data sources, and all these came out of a cloud. So it could be Snowflake, it could be Databricks, it could be Oracle, it could be Redshift, it could be a wide range of things that I'm using. It could be GCP, for example, and I need to bring all that data together. Now, Alteryx has a tool called fuzzy matching. It's really good at helping you bring together these different pieces of customer data, and I can, use this code-free tool to match my customer data and dial it in and get it just right. But wait a minute, I've got an LLM available to me too, and Alteryx right here in the bottom left here lets me connect to my LLM, my large language model, my Gen AI that my organization has provided for us. So why not tap into that? So that's what I do. I actually use an LLM, I bring it into my workflow to help intelligently blend these 5 data sources together. So this is what I talk about bringing LLMs into our everyday work beyond just writing an email for me. Even though that's powerful, there's other things I can do. Okay, so I've joined all this data. Now, governance is a hot topic, and it should be. And now I'm working with PII here. I'm working with my customers' data. So I might want to remove my PII. I might want to put up a GDPR filter and cleanse my data in other ways. And I can build that into this process in an automated way. Not only that, I can actually allow my legal team, my compliance team, my regulatory team to hook into these processes and approve them too, have eyes on them. So I can create that cycle, or I can even create automations for those teams to look at, to do checks and automate the checks of my data, because governance is very important for most of our customers. Data governance and what I'm going to call solution or analytic or AI governance. These are 2 kinds of governances, by the way, but they go hand in hand. Okay, so now I've got nice clean data. And now I think, this might be a good opportunity to tap into some classic AI. And I want to actually predict right here with this brown tree tool that you see. It's a decision tree. So it's a decision tree model, which is usually code-based, maybe Python, maybe R. But I've got a code-free version in the platform that I can tap into, and I'm going to tap into this decision tree model and have it predict who is likely to churn. So now I'm tapping into classic AI. So I do that. I tap into no-code machine learning to predict who might churn, and now I want to do something with it. So I filter out, who's likely to churn, and do some data cleanup and summarize it so I have a sense of who these are, maybe some data gymnastics to get it just the right way I want it, so that I can actually tap into automations to automatically send an email. Now that email could be to the salesperson to let them know, hey, here are your 5 customers this quarter who are likely to churn if you don't go pay attention to them and give them some things that we think they need. That might be one. Or it could be I just automatically generate something. I've looked at characteristics of that customer in this model, and I actually generate a special offer for them. Hey, we want to come in and share with you our latest capabilities, because maybe they don't realize the capabilities that they have available to them and they're not tapping into the full use of the platform. Okay, so now I can add automation. So that's that rapid decision intelligence. I'm rapidly making decisions and acting upon them in a very automated way. But didn't I also just spend some effort, and I say effort lightly, I built this workflow and now it's going to run automatically, but I've put some effort into cleaning my data, to unifying my customer data. That's pretty valuable. And in fact, I might want to actually put that right back into my cloud data warehouse so that I can continue to use it for other purposes. So I can do that. Now I can connect back out into my data warehouse. But here is another way I can tap into AI. I can take this, what I'm going to call AI ready data, because that's what it is. I cleaned it up and I have AI ready data, and my team, my technology team in my organization has done a great job of providing LLMs within our organization, and they've provided a way or they're interested in using my data to augment that LLM, to make it even smarter. And I've just created something that's super valuable for my organization to have a smarter LLM inside my organization. And so I can actually, you can see, connect. The fancy term is a vector database. That's the kind of data that it wants. It's going to create that format for me, and it's ready for my LLM to use. It's ready for my LLM to search. So you can see, just in this simple workflow, we have brought to life the capabilities of AI in multiple ways. So how do we actually put this into action? So let's talk about what it's like for the knowledge worker in your organization. The very first step is going to be that data wrangling. I've got to get my data together. I've got to make it AI ready. This is what we call the AI clearinghouse. Then I can put some automation around that, like the workflow that you just saw. When I do that, now I can spend time creating that classic AI, or even doing other analytics, because I have time available that I was doing on manual tasks around data. And this, like the workflow I just showed you, truly is process transformation, truly is re-engineering the way, reimagining the way you do work in your organization. And that's what it's like for the individual. Now, what we know is these are individuals. These are humans in the loop here, right? These are people that are part of this process. And sometimes humans can be a little bit resistant to change. Sometimes they go headfirst into new technologies, and you probably have seen in your organization, you have a range. And so what we see in the decades that we've been bringing knowledge workers on the journey of analytic maturity, we know what makes organizations successful on this people part. And we see three things. We see, one, have to get them to want to go on the journey to begin with. I have to get them excited. I have to get them activated to even want to dip their toe in this AI journey. It can seem a little intimidating to some folks. So once I do that, then I have to train them. I have to equip them for that journey. I have to enable them. And then once I've got them on the journey, I have to support and sustain them on that journey. And so as we've been doing this, we see key activities that the most successful organizations do when they go on this journey. And so we have playbooks for all of these as we work with our customers to help them go on the journey. But let me share with you some of the things that you can think about. So of course I need to train people. First, I have to actually show them the technology, right? I have to demo it for them. I have to show them what it looks like. And a really key way to do that is what I'm showing in this upper left, this design review sharing session. When I have somebody in my organization, one of the early adopters who runs fast, if I have them show off what they do to others, it really helps them, because they say, oh, if this person in my organization can do it, well, maybe I can too. And it does work in my organization. So that's a really key way of helping people to get excited, is to see their peers doing it. And so take advantage of those champions who are running ahead. Going to industry conferences is really valuable. We have our Alteryx Inspire conference in May. It's going to be in Orlando this year, in May coming up in 2026. I invite you all. But if you don't want to wait until then, there are a lot of data events or data conferences or data related things you can tap into through Gartner, through Evite. You'll see things out in the marketplace. You can scan LinkedIn. There's a lot of ways to find things, and just going to things, attending things like what you're doing now with this session really helps elevate your understanding of what's possible and gets people excited to go on the journey. You can bring in a TED Talk. So a lot of our customers do this regularly. We'll match them with maybe one of our Alteryx aces to share their story or their organization story. Sometimes we want to hear TED Talks of other people who've been on the journey, or we have events out in the marketplace that you can come. We'll do these. We'll have a fun event where maybe we're going to go bowling, but we're going to talk about analytics too. And then even within your organization, establishing like a community of practice, bringing your data people together from around your organization. I have seen people from marketing learn from people in supply chain about how they're approaching analytic processes. So there's a lot to be learned from that cross-functional sharing. The automation challenge that I'm showing you here, I'm going to show you that one in particular because it's such a powerful way to increase analytic maturity in an organization and to get started. And we're just seeing this be a really exciting time. So of course, you can see there's training when I need to train and enable people, hands-on keyboard, of course, have to teach them how to use the technology, but there's also other education. I'm going to share with you what that looks like. That's nothing to do with hands-on keyboard. And then keeping it fun, gamifying it, have data challenges. We have weekly challenges on our website. Once I do all that, it's so important to have leader support to help sustain this journey. Often I have leaders that I partner with to even start the journey. I'll share how that looks. But it's also important to measure our success, to measure how many people are going on this journey in my organization? How many have I up-leveled? How many hours am I saving? How many new things am I doing because I brought AI to life in my organization? And once I do that, am I capturing the value of these processes? Am I thinking about and capturing intentionally the new business I generated, the new markets that I opened up, the risk that I mitigated or avoided, the compliance to regulatory requirements that I ensured? These are the kind of things that, as you go on this journey, you're going to want to make sure it's valuable, right? As a leader, I know that's my language of love, is how am I bringing value to my people and to my organization? And so, of course, I want to reward and recognize people for going on the journey. And that's one way we support and sustain them. So let's bring it to life. So one idea that a lot of organizations love is this AI day. So we actually take some of the key elements we just mentioned and we make a day of it. We bring in different vendors. Of course, Alteryx can participate alongside your other vendors to present different things in the technology. You bring in keynotes. You allow some of your champions to present their success stories. You demo things. But it's usually executive or leadership led for sponsorship and then putting together the program for the day. We have a success kit to help organizations do this because they are so valuable. And the organizations we work with, usually once they do their first one, it becomes an annual event. And so there's analytics days. I partner with some of my customers that I come back year after year. I get to be a guest speaker or give a keynote, or often I actually give special leadership workshops. I'm going to talk about that as well, because these days are for everybody. So we've talked about all these activities, right? And how they can help you be successful. Some of the best practices. At the heart of it, at the heart of your community of practice, is this idea of a COE. Now, some people think of a COE as a center of excellence, and some people think of it as a center of enablement, and we just call it the COE squared. Because if you remember back to the slides of the blue side people and the green side people, the blue side people are usually your trusted advisors. Maybe they build solutions. They might be responsible for some of the governance. And then the green side, the business side, the ones who are getting insights day in and day out, we want to make sure they're trained and enabled, not just in my technologies like Alteryx hands-on keyboard, but how do I access my data? How do I access the cloud data warehouse? What data do I want you to use? And the best practices there. And then, of course, recognizing that this is a journey of change management. And so I mentioned that there's also education. And the education part is nothing to do with hands-on keyboard, but it's bringing leaders on the journey. So you can see on the left, these are free sessions we offer to our customers to help leaders go on this journey and understand, how do I, as a leader, create a culture of analytics? How can I drive analytic transformation? And we go through case studies of organizations and what business problem they have, because remember, we're solving business problems, and then how we tied AI and analytics to solve that problem. And so we want leaders to understand how to do this, because then they can steer their teams on this journey. And when a leader says, yes, AI is important, I want to bring AI into my organization, we know that that's typically going to lead to much more success than when I don't have the leaders on board. And then there's analytic education for all. Now, sometimes these sessions on the right, I give just to leaders. They want their own session about demystifying AI, demystifying machine learning, demystifying Gen AI. But often now, the general audience, like my organization, wants these. And sometimes, by the way, this can be a fun TED Talk I'll come in and do for an organization who's just getting started, and we all come together and we just talk about what's the art of possible? What is this AI stuff? What is this ML stuff? We demystify it into layman's terms, and we actually go through examples in business use cases to help get the juices flowing, to help get that thinking flowing, because sometimes this is a new mental muscle that we're turning on in our head to start thinking about our work a little bit differently. Remember, this is change management in an organization. So this is a fun thing I like to mention because we just see this be successful, tried and true over and over. And this is the AI challenge. Some people do it around automation. Some people do it around analytics. But most popular right now is this idea of, I want something to help me accelerate getting to AI. So you can do this as an 8 to 12 week program. You come in, we actually start with the analytic education piece before we do anything with technology, just to give us that art of possible. And then we get into the technology. We actually train hands on keyboard, but we don't stop there. We want to make sure when we've done training that we workshop with every single individual in that training to help them understand one realistic use case where they can apply this learning and they can apply AI to their day-to-day work in a way that makes sense and in a way that leads to business outcomes. And so we automatically do all that right up front. Okay, now we want to put this into practice, and why not gamify it and have some fun? So we announced that we're going to have an AI challenge. And by the way, if I've worked with the leaders up front, they've all agreed that everybody going through this training program is going to submit at least one use case at the end of 8 weeks, 12 weeks. We pick a reasonable timeline so that they can do their other work as well, and then offer office hours and development support in that 8 to 12 week period. Now, because everybody is required to submit at least one use case that they've built, the leaders love this because now they have a way to capture the value of that effort, the value of the investment they're making in their people. And so at the end of it, when everybody submits their use case, they're capturing the value. They're talking about what they did and how they improved it. And now the leader has a cohesive story about the way they just moved the needle for their organization. But we don't stop there because we want to reward people. So of the folks who've gone through the program, everybody gets rewarded, but we pick the top 5 to be in a Shark Tank. We want them to showcase their amazing success. And we have a couple of other reasons we want to do that too. When we do the Shark Tank, we invite top leaders from the organization to be judges, because who knows your organization best than your top leaders? And let them hear these lightning talks about what their people have done with AI. And by the way, we're educating them too, because this is new for leaders. They think they need to know it all, but they might not have time to know it all. And so we actually give them a nice way to participate in learning about the art of possible in their organization. And so, by the way, the leader who's hosting this challenge also gets visibility with their executives as well, the people who participated. And then we reward and recognize those people. But it's a really effective way to affect change in your organization with your knowledge workers and even with your leaders, and to make sure you have tangible, proven business outcomes at the end of this. This is such a powerful thing we see in organizations. Sometimes when my knowledge workers are a little bit hesitant to lean in, or they want to know what's in it for me, I talk about career development and how leaning into AI is good for your career. First of all, you get to join the Alteryx community, more than 700,000 members, and you have people you can ask questions to, you can learn from, you can collaborate with. You become part of this greater global community of people who are on the journey with you. There are free online certifications, micro certifications, core certifications, and then some even more advanced ones that are paid that are what I like to call LinkedIn worthy. So when I'm getting a certification in a technology like Alteryx, by the way, I'm not just saying I can use hands on keyboards and drag and drop 20 tools. What I'm saying is I now have demonstrated data and AI skills. That's what these show. They show that I have capabilities and skills under my hat. And then I can actually grow my brand and grow my career by taking that success and presenting at our Inspire conference, or writing a post in our community, or even writing an article on LinkedIn about what you're doing to improve or use AI in your organization. I have seen hundreds of people elevate their career through AI and analytics. And so really, AI is for everyone in your organization. We have been on the journey of bringing knowledge workers into more analytic maturity for decades, and that includes this journey to AI. We know how it's done. We're experts at it. We know how to bring your executives on the journey. That's what I do day in and day out. I partner with our customer executives to ensure success. We bring leaders on the journey, your people leaders, and up-level your knowledge workers. So thank you so much for joining me today. If there is something valuable that you learned today, reach out to me on LinkedIn and let me know that. If you have a question, reach out to me. If you want to know more, you're also going to be provided other ways to reach out to Alteryx, but I invite you personally to reach out and invite you to connect on LinkedIn and share where you are in your journey or how we can help you. So thank you for joining us today to hear how Alteryx One is accelerating and celebrating enterprise AI for the world's largest organizations.